It is very good to see both of you. So, over the last couple of days, last Thursday night, we had Boston Police Commissioner Cox out at a function and was grabbed by the mainstream media and got asked this question about Kelly Devers, Veruca Salt's testimony and her, her meeting with Commissioner Cox. He said, "Hey, I was in Michigan. I don't know. I didn't even know that she was part of the Karen Reed trial. I'm calling bullshit on that one, but I want to hear what your opinions are. I'm going to go to Todd first. Todd, your opinion. Does Commissioner Cox know about who's testifying, what they're testifying about? What do you think about this one?
You know, Brian, I watched the interview and I couldn't be more disappointed in his comment. It was disingenuous. It was evasive. He broke all the behavior detection rules. He distanced himself. I mean, he's a classic casebook study now, right? You know, how he was not prepared as a senior top cop in a major agency. He was not prepared for a reporter to ask that question. Come on, you're a professional. Respond, so Commissioner. Very disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, it got so bad towards the end. He had his assistant trying to usher him away from the mainstream media. I find it extremely hard to believe that he didn't.
Yeah, she tried to end the interview.
Devers said it on the stand. I met with him. She said it under oath. Man, what are we doing here?
He was prepared and he failed miserably and fell on his face. He just did not execute that interview, which maybe was spontaneous, but he should have been expecting it. I know whoever was standing next to him, which was probably some type of PR person, was expecting it, and he fell on his face. I mean, I could dissect every single word he said, but the bottom line is his credibility is shot. He knew those questions were coming. He knew all about the Karen Reed case. He knew that Kelly Devers was involved in it. And I was even chatting with you earlier, Brian, like I have thoughts about some of what he said. Because he definitely, and I don't know if you're going to play the clip, but
we're going to play it.
All right. I'm going to restrain myself for now because I thought something he said was very telling to me. And it kind of struck me this morning. It didn't strike me sooner, but it was an utter failure. He was better off, as many people said on social media, saying no comment if he was going to fail as miserably as he did.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think that would have been. She said it under oath, and we're gonna watch the testimony. I did a montage the other day, and we'll play through the testimony, and then we'll play his comment. But I'm gonna give you my opinion on this one. All right, I'm gonna give you my opinion on this one, and I want to see what you both think about this, and then we'll play the clip here. I think what happened was this: that they tried to hide her, and what they did was they went to her and said, "Look, you didn't." We don't know if you're going to get called in the trial. You're on the witness list. Let's do this. Get her out of Canton. Let's get her out of Canton. We'll transfer her over to the Boston Police Department. We're going to have a conversation. And I think this is the first conversation that happened. We're going to bring her in. We're going to sit her down, give her a nice raise, and just say, hey, this is what we need you to do if you're called to testify. And look, we've brought you over here to the Boston Police Department. You've got a nice raise. These are the things that we need you to do. But right now, just go out and do your job. And hopefully they don't call you. Well, guess what? She got called as a witness. Mm-hmm. And second conversation was to reinstill in her brain that you need to do the right thing. Meaning, we did something for you. We came over. We paid you. Now we need you to go in and do the right thing for the department, and say that and basically say these rehearsed things that you don't know where any of the camera positions were. You don't know what was captioned on those cameras. You don't know where the monitors were. Oh, well, hell, it's been almost 2 years. I can't remember what that office setup was like. I find it ridiculous. I find it preposterous. I mean, I've left jobs 5 years ago, and I can probably tell you where everything is in those offices, where they were, what they were there for, and what the purpose was. I don't believe it.
No way.
What do you think?
I've enjoyed you dissecting her testimony. It's been fun to watch you laugh at it. She is definitely her credibility was shot just by failing to remember very simple things. So the fact that she couldn't remember the exact setup of the camera system, etc., and then started to give testimony about her, quote, false memory, is all the more reason why Alan Jackson's letter asking for her to be put on the Brady list is so apropos. I mean, she should not be serving as a police officer, or if anything, she should be manning a desk, because her reliability, at a minimum, I mean, I think her credibility is the most in question, but her reliability, if she really did have a false memory, which I'm not conceding, her reliability is absolutely compromised. She needs to be out, and out quickly.
And real quick, before Todd answers, here's the timeline. August 23rd, Devers Veruca Saltz tells the FBI, saw Higgins Berkowitz with the Reed SUV. January through March 25, Reed's murder trial retrial progresses. Then we have June 2nd, 2025, Devers Veruca Saltz, I love mashing that all together, by the way, testifies in court and recants. July 10th and 13th, 2025, Cox addresses the media, Brady list requests made. Here's the thing. I call bullshit on this too, that, the reason that I only reached out to the FBI was because I was scared because of my false memory. I was going to change my testimony and that you threatened me. There was never any threat. She was scared because the department came down on her before she was going in, getting ready to testify. She reached out to the FBI and probably asked, hey, I have this false memory. I just want to make sure, am I going to be committing perjury or get any type of trouble if I go in and testify under oath and change my answer? That's because the department and Cox himself, in my opinion, pressured her to go in and say, I don't remember, and none of this happened.
Mm-hmm.
Todd, what do you think about that?
You know, Brian, this is probably what upsets me most about the first trial and the second trial, that how many law enforcement professionals lost their credibility in a court of law. That I think is probably, personally, and other police officers that I've spoken to, that are just shaking their heads at the lack of credible testimony during the course of both trials. Sad.
Very sad. I mean, again, and this goes back to all of our bigger conversations that we had in here. You know, Massachusetts right now is a very broken society amongst our relationships with our police departments in our local areas.
It's true.
They're there to serve and protect. That's what it says on most of their vehicles that roam our towns. And you're supposed to be here to serve and protect and instill trust into the community. And how are we doing that? How are we bridging that gap? How are we bringing that back into our society? Our questions don't get answered. People get killed and there's no answers. People get hurt and there's no answers. There's a man just the other night up in Haverhill that had, jumped on by multiple officers. He's yelling help. No one gets off him and he dies in front of people. I mean, how do we fix this?
That would require a whole series of shows, because it's ingrained in the culture. If there is a culture of corruption, if there's a culture of covering up, if there's a culture of being, or at least law enforcement feeling like they are superior to the everyday man, above question. And that's really the theme of it, in my opinion. Law enforcement, and it's not only germane to your geographic zone, guys. Law enforcement throughout the country, and not all law enforcement, I'm not anti-blue, but
Sure.
I have seen a growing trend of law enforcement feeling like they are superior to the common man. And by common man, obviously, I mean woman and everyone else who falls in between. With all of that said, if you can't change the culture, then it's not going to change. And as we were chatting about in the green room, it's not just about training or better training on what to do if, for example, someone is positionally asphyxiated, as we were discussing. It just flows off the tongue, guys.
Yeah.
But, it's not just better training from a hands-on granular perspective. It's about training what to do under certain circumstances, what to do with crowd control, what to do if someone who's being restrained exhibits certain signs and symptoms or voices certain complaints. And as far as credibility is concerned, as Todd was saying, the amount of law enforcement who has put its neck on the line and bet on the wrong horse here, it's startling. It's just really startling to someone like me. So many of them are now crumbling. That's why your thumbnails are so apropos, Brian, whether it's a house of cards or a crumbling courthouse. They're really apropos because we're seeing all of the kinks in the armor now. And isn't it interesting and really sad to see it now in the wake of this verdict?
Yeah, here's the secret sauce, guys. And again, this is Todd McGee's humble opinion. The level of or lack of policing each other is more prevalent today than it was when I was active.
Wow.
Things happened in the course of a shift where you have to intercede. People, when I say people, police officers on occasion will get emotionally involved in an arrest. And this is what happens. And unless someone is there present with a cool mind to intervene, now it's written policy. It was never written policy when I was coming up and going in within. It was the right thing to do. The intervention is necessary, and any lack thereof, you have these custodial debts.
That's so interesting. You mentioned the emotional investment or the overly emotional investment. I was speaking with a friend the other day about even just the scene when Karen was arrested the second time, and with the escalated charges against her. And these were featured in the documentary Body in the Snow, I'm sure elsewhere as well. But when she had asked, I want to be able to just change my clothes. I don't want to be on the 6 o'clock news or whatever news it was, dressed in my pajamas. And they show footage of Proctor making snide comments about her as he's walking up the driveway.
She's crazy. She's crazy. Do you see that?
Yeah, she's crazy.
Yeah,
And,
crazy.
almost like she's more interested in her appearance than really that's her. I mean, I believe, this is my belief, the policy and procedure manuals for the police might state otherwise, but I feel that a woman in particular should be able to have the dignity of being arrested, clothed and appropriately dressed, and not paraded on the news in a way that might be perceived as inappropriate and not demure. Any police officer could have escorted her, even a male one, to her room or asked her to get her clothing and bring it out to a common area. Pardon the glitching. Always got to have something, guys. But bring your clothing out to a common area and let her get dressed, even if it has to be supervised. But it was Proctor's emotional investment in that arrest. Like it's a win for these guys, and they've got to bring this trophy home or bring it back to the station. Really bothers me. And I don't think I'm alone. I think a lot of people feel like the police are doing more than just protecting and serving. It's become like personal. And that type of sense is really where, to go back to your question, Brian, I don't know if it's solvable. It's certainly not solvable with training. Maybe some training and a consistent training program will help, but it needs a full cultural overhaul.
It is cultural. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's the mentality, Todd? I mean, what is it? Does this start at the training academies, or is this just something that's in, I guess, the veterans that are teaching the young officers that come in? Where does this start, and how do we kind of, I guess, cut the head off the snake to like, to Nan's credit, revamp this whole system, the culture?
Every police recruit will go through what we call a break-in period, which is your probationary period. And if you don't have a professionalized police department, what you will have are veteran officers saying, listen to me, forget everything that you learned in the academy. You're now in the real world. This is how you handle and conduct yourself. that's the start of the bad cultural seed. If you can't control that narrative, then you're going to have a department that is heavy-handed. You're going to have a department that the community fears and not respects, and then you're going to have all these one-offs of these different incidents. I've seen it over and over. And to Nan's point, it's not Massachusetts by itself. It's different, less professional police departments around the country.
I and I think, in talking about like bridging the gap, things that I saw when I was a kid, when we had the DARE program, I thought that was even a great program for kids and adults to interact with officers in their neighborhoods, get to know who they are. I don't see that in the state of Massachusetts anymore. I don't even know if they do it anymore. And it's not even really something that I think would be heavily budgeted, right? I mean, you just have an officer that would go out. I mean, I remember they used to come in and talk to us in the school. They would bring in, literature and do demonstrations and teach us about drugs and, having interactions with police officers. But we don't even see those things even taught in our schools anymore, or even just through our communities. But then when I do actually get to see those videos of, maybe I saw one not too long ago, which was great. There was some kids that were playing out on the street. They had a basketball hoop, and the neighbors had kept complaining about, they're bothering traffic or making too much noise. And the police officers came into that community. Instead of scolding them, they got out of their car and actually played hoops with the kids. And they made that bond and just said, you guys keep doing what you're doing because you're doing the right thing. We don't see that anymore. We don't see enough of that. And I think that's what we need to bring back to our communities. It's,
Brian, another layer, like you just perfectly described the DARE program, where you had officers, it was their job to go out and talk to the students. But look at how our society has shifted towards protection of our students. So now, instead of having DARE officers, you have school resource officers that are there to be a deterrent to threats. So we're just in this really weird bubble. And I'm not excusing anything away. Police officers must maintain a sense of decorum, must maintain a sense of respect and dignity, and represent their department and their community. But there's another layer that seems to be impacting the good that was being done at one time.
Right. And I mean, I could talk about this all night, guys, but I do feel it's worth even mentioning that if higher levels and supervisors allow this type of conduct and behavior to persist, it's definitely not going to improve. So when we say it's cultural, I absolutely feel that it is, and I know you both agree. But if you have the Buchanans of the world, the Fannings, the Tullys, anyone who's above whomever's acting in whatever law enforcement agency or department we're talking about, if you've got people just allowing inappropriate behavior and inappropriate culture to simply percolate and exist, it's absolutely not going to change. It's like any employer allowing bad behavior from employees. The employee is not going to know any better. In fact, some employees will dare think, I better be this way because my employer seems to like it, and I don't want to disappoint my employer. So I think that there should be, and maybe there are, I don't know, but there should be at least annual measurements, not only competency evaluations, but measurements of police officer and law enforcement officer good citizenry. How are you doing as a community leader? They're leaders and protectors, but they're not above anyone else. They just hold a different role. Just like everyone who participates in society at whatever level, whether you've got people in the streets who can't afford to have homes, people who live in low-income housing, people who are lower class, middle class, or upper class, we're all the same. It's just we all have different roles. So some type of annual or biannual measurement of just good citizenry and respectability of officers, I mean, I would be all over starting or funding a program like that, especially up in your community.
Yeah. I think it's great. I want to actually kind of laugh. And again, we'll take super chats at the end of the show. I just want to keep the flow of the show going. But this is actually true. Their officers always drove ex-dealers' cars with police lights added. I've seen some of that in some of the communities. They actually take like Corvettes, and I've seen like Lamborghinis and stuff to make the example. What's that, Todd?
Asset forfeiture.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that they usually actually do that. So, all right, let's pull up the testimony here. Let's go through this. I think we can get some interesting points in here. It's going to start out with Veruca Salt, and then it will go into the comment by Cox. All right, let's.
Along with Mr. Unetti and Ms. Little on a conference call last year sometime. You remember that?
Yes.
Between the time that you were interviewed on August 9th, 2023, and when we spoke sometime in maybe it was April or so of last year, does that sound about right?
Yes.
Did you have any conversation with any other party about your potential involvement in this case?
No.
Did you have a conversation with anybody in the commissioner's office at Boston Police Department?
Not about anything malicious.
I didn't use the word malicious. Why do you say malicious?
I had a conversation, but it was my department saying, regardless of what I need to say on the stand, they support me.
You were asked to go to the commissioner's office, correct?
Yes.
How long had you been on the Boston Police Department at the time that you were invited to go up to the Commissioner Michael Cox's office?
It had to have been before the first trial. So,
Ah,
and I know it was when the agency released information to outside people.
That's not my question.
Okay, so I don't recall.
Okay.
so we've already got the admittance there. She's already been up to the office, and guess what? It was before the first trial. So this goes back to my prediction, my intuition. Let's get her out of Canton. Let's transfer into Boston. We can bury her. We'll pay her some extra money, and maybe she'll be quiet. And hopefully they don't call her. Hopefully they don't call her. And then what did we have before the second trial? We had the meeting, the do the right thing meeting. I'm telling you.
That's my read too. That's my read too. I think there were actually 2 meetings, or at least 2 occurrences, which could be reduced to writing, where there was an effort to conceal her and sweep her away from even being discovered in this matter as being relevant to some of the key critical timeline here. And also, I think that there was a do the right thing type of meeting, which I'm sure we're going to be talking about.
I can't wait to hear your comments on that. All right, back to testimony.
You don't recall how long you had been on the force, generally, at the time that you were called up to the commissioner's office, on the Boston Police Department?
No.
Was it 5 years, 2 years, 2 months? Give me a ballpark.
So I've been on the department for 2 years and 2 months. I would say somewhere in the range of a year.
Okay. Did you find it unusual would you call yourself a rookie back then?
Yes.
Did you find it unusual that a rookie police officer would be called up to the commissioner's office personally to discuss a matter?
It was a reflection of how good of a leader he is. It was not anything that I found unusual, given the fact he is someone who wanted to show support for his officer.
So I'm guessing all of your training class or all of your entry classes at Boston PD, they've all gone up to the commissioner's office as well?
I don't know anyone else who's been in this particular circumstance.
Do you know anybody else who's been called up to the commissioner's office at your level at the Boston Police Department?
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you know of any of your colleagues with your level of experience that have been called up to the commissioner's office for a specific instance?
Objection.
That's sustained.
Now,
These are not objectionable questions.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Nan, how do you like this line of questioning?
It's a perfect line of questioning. Sorry to interrupt the stream,
That's
but
fine.
it's a perfect line of questioning. Nothing that Alan is asking her is objectionable. This is gatekeeping to the extreme by Judge Bev, exhibits her bias. anytime, I mean, what was the percentage rate? I don't know, but of her sustaining Brennan's objections, it's through the roof. Even
It's
Brennan was
high. I
commenting
mean,
on
over
it.
60%.
These were perfectly phrased questions to this witness. She's on cross. She's in the box, or the hot seat, as we say. And it would have made for faster testimony and a better flow of it. But you've got Judge Bev. I mean, she's one for the books, guys.
Iceman says 49 out of 49.
You know,
Yeah.
Brian, what's
Yeah.
interesting is that her testimony, it's as if she doesn't know Alan Jackson knows the answers to his questions.
Yeah,
Right.
He knows.
Like she can just quickly land on, well, I don't remember and I don't recall, and like it's all going to go away.
Yeah, and this was my big question. I think now I'm coming to the more of the reality of it, where I said I've always wondered if Alan Jackson knew. They knew. I mean, they had this information. Now I'm convinced that they knew. Now hearing Cox, what his answer to the question was, going back over and looking at this testimony. Now I'm putting 2 to 2 together. Alan Jackson knew that this reaction was going to happen, and it actually gets kind of comical because there starts to get the friction here, and Bev goes, it's your witness. I mean, he starts laying into it, and he's like, yeah, I know. And he's just going to go there with her. So let's pop back up the testimony. This is great.
Office. Did you respond to his indication that he wanted to see you up in his office?
It wasn't a direct line of contact from him.
Okay. Did you respond? Did you ultimately go? That's what I mean by respond. Did you go to his office?
He's my boss, so yes.
Okay. And who else was in that office?
Me and him. The two of us.
General counsel of the Boston Police Department?
No, it's just me and him.
During the conversation that we had last year, did you say that general legal counsel for the Boston Police Department was also there?
Objection.
Not during that conversation.
Objection.
Next question.
Sure.
You saved
Was
her.
there another time that you
Yeah.
went to the commissioner's office where general legal counsel was there?
No,
You ever met general legal counsel for the Boston Police Department?
yes,
Was it in the commissioner's office?
no.
When was it?
During my conversation with the agents.
Oh,
You took a lawyer with you to talk to this other law enforcement agency?
I'm gonna see you at sidebar.
Ty Boz will be cut out, by the way. So wait, I'm trying to get this under my belt here. So she's saying that her representative counsel was not in the meeting, but I'm sensing that Jackson has a feeling that counsel was in during that meeting. So she's going to flip the script and say, no, it was during when I met with the FBI.
Yeah, I have some suspicions here, if I may. First and foremost, I think that general legal counsel, who was probably corporate counsel, as they call it, for the city or the police department, she's saying that counsel was not present for her meeting with Commissioner Cox. Okay. However, the sense I got when I heard her give her testimony, and the sense that I've gotten now listening to it again, is that I believe that corporate counsel for the city or the police department was present and participating in either a phone call or phone calls, or emails or correspondences between the commissioner or his representative. He may have like an administrative assistant or a secretary or something like that. I think that there are written communications between his office and her, asking her to come to his office. They'd like a meeting, and that the corporate counsel was involved. If I were an interested citizen in that vicinity, I would be making a FOIA request for all written communications between his office. I know. Am I winding?
We're going to get into it because you ain't going to get it.
Well,
We're going to talk about this.
I know we are, Brian, but I have a comment to your response to your
Come on,
FOIA
man.
request.
This is
I will.
Massachusetts.
It's so back Massachusetts up there. But
You're
I
not
will
gonna
tell
get it.
you, I saw the response you posted that you got from your FOIA request,
Yeah,
and
we're going to talk about that in the next segment.
I have thoughts. I have thoughts, as we say here in New Jersey and New York. So, but by the way, I want to add that now that we have, and I'm sure you're going to show Commissioner Cox's ridiculous
We are.
interview. I think there needs to be an inquest. I think now he's saying one thing, she's saying another, and there needs to be a sit them both down and let the public decide who's lying. I've seen that happen in multiple vicinities where you've got two people who are holding firm on what they're saying happened. You know, one of them is lying, and literally put them in the same room and let them duke it out, because that's where you'll get to the truth of these people. They're so dug in. And
Deborah-
both of their credibility is shot. Go
Deborah's
ahead, Todd.
pissed right now. Deborah's hearing that comment, those comments from the commissioner, just threw
Yeah.
her right under the bus.
Yep. Well,
And
that's when
she's not,
people
and the thing
flip.
is, keep in mind, the panel and audience, she's under oath. So everything that she said was under oath. He's not. She was
Yeah.
under oath. I'm gonna say that I believe her as
Oof.
far as kind of
Yeah.
what went down. She's bending it a little bit, but his whole denial of, I didn't even know that she was involved in the Gary case.
Her,
Yeah.
her version is closer to the truth.
Yeah. And the thing that's going to burn her now, and I don't even know if she's going to have a job anymore, but I'm going to tell you, as a citizen, she's saying that she created this false memory. Oh, really? So when you go out and police a certain situation out in the public, when you're doing your job, are you creating more false memories? That's kind of scary. We have an officer that creates false memories. I would not be able to trust that officer. And keep in mind, she said this under oath.
Yeah.
Under oath. It's scary stuff.
It is,
That's
but
the reason for the letter.
I will tell you, it is really scary that she said it under oath, but I'm actually more frightened that I do believe her a little bit more on the subject of whether this meeting took place. And I'm frightened at the fact that the commissioner of police in Boston, which is my
Denied it.
favorite city, and it has been for a long time, the commissioner of the police there is saying it didn't happen. And I think he's lying. And I would be really scared if he were in control of 3,000 employees working in that city. That's very, very concerning to me.
Let's go back to Veruca Salt, and then we'll get to Cox's answer. Here we go.
May I continue, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Dever, when we left off, I was asking you about the meeting at the commissioner's office. And I want to clear this up. Was general legal counsel in that office or not? When you
went right back at it, man.
No, it was just me and the commissioner.
At some point, did the commissioner say to you that Boston Police Department, insofar as your connection to this case is concerned, Boston Police Department fully supports you?
Yes.
Did he also say, do the right thing?
That's a direct quote. So I can't recollect if he said a direct quote 2 years ago.
A year ago, when you talked to us, the defense, did you tell the defense that when you were called up to the commissioner's office, he told you two things? Commissioner Cox told you, number one, Boston Police Department supports you, and Officer Deaver, do the right thing.
So he said my name correctly. He said Dever. And
That's my mistake. Let's see, like, you want me to repeat the question so I get
So, Mr. Jackson, let's go ahead and answer, please.
yes, and he said nothing with the intent of guiding me one way or the
What
other.
his intent was, madam. I
Oh,
asked you what he said to you. What
so
were his
good.
words to you?
That he supports me.
And
yeah,
He
say
wanted
it.
me to tell the truth up here.
Yeah,
his words were, do the right thing,
say it.
correct?
I don't recall.
That's different than he didn't say that.
During the recent
Here we go.
Reed trial, you got a visit from Officer Kelly Dever. The defense implied that you influenced her testimony. Do you want to respond to that?
I have nothing to do with Karen Reed. Matter of fact, I didn't even know this person was associated with the Karen Reed.
Distancing himself.
No, I have an organization.
Todd, go ahead.
That statement, this person, he's distancing himself from her.
Yeah.
Statement analysis. Words matter.
Yeah.
Remind me never to have any further conversations with Todd because he's going to dissect every single thing I say. He's amazing. It's amazing.
This is his expertise. 24 years, Nan. He
frightening.
knows. He knows. It's just, I love the whole like, I didn't know anything. I love that. It's
All
just-
disappointing.
and they always come with smiles. I love it. All right, let's go back and listen to this. Here we go.
To that.
I have nothing to do with. I have nothing to do with Karen Reed. Matter of fact, I didn't even know this person was associated with the Karen Reed case. You know, I have an organization, Philip, over 3,000 people, and we support all our folks. And the reality is that, you know, I get information passed on, whether it's people are high or low, and I encourage everyone, right? And if you're going to work here and you belong here, then we're going to encourage you. I have no idea what they're talking about with Karen Reed. It had nothing to do with Karen Reed. No discussion about
Did you
Karen
tell Officer Deborah to do the right thing?
I didn't know she was even associated with that case. So, you know, I don't know. I was struck. Like, what do I have to do with the Karen Reed case? I never have said those words together. And so the fact is, you know, it's much to do about nothing. We have employees here that we have to develop. And
You know,
encourage.
Brian,
I do that for tons.
Go ahead, Todd.
I'm going to take you back in this immediate response when I make the connection for everyone. Our former President Clinton in the Monica Lewinsky scandal.
Oh, yeah.
That's the play out of that playbook.
Yeah.
It is. Brian and I are old
Not
enough
have
to know
sexual
that.
relationships with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
That's so true. And while we've paused, this is the point in his interview that I wanted to highlight for you and for your audience, which is if you hear him, he is saying, quote, if you're gonna work here and if you belong here, then I'm gonna encourage you. Now I take that in its most literal sense. You know, he's thinking that when he met with her. He was, you know, his philosophy is, and somebody can try to disabuse me of this opinion, but you will fail miserably. His opinion is, if you want to work here, you're going to do the right thing. If you belong here, you'll do the right thing. That is part and parcel of what that conversation was. And now that he is completely denying having that meeting at all, or really knowing anything, and never having said Karen Reed as two words together, and not knowing that she was involved, she meaning Deborah was involved in this case at all. I have a sneaking suspicion, not provable right now. I have a sneaking suspicion that Deborah went out on family medical leave because she probably lost her shit and got very upset that her, quote, employer and boss, which she referred to him, he's my boss, turned on her. And she's probably, and I'm not a clinician, but she's probably traumatized as to what her next move is. And I anticipate she's going to flip. And if I were her and I had chosen the wrong path, like she did by perjuring herself, in my opinion, I would take what he just did, and he could have handled that better. And I would go home, go out on leave, talk to various attorneys. Not me. Don't call my office, Deborah, because I'm never going to answer your call. But talk to various attorneys and say, what do I do here? Because they're hanging me out to dry. And any good attorney who's worth their weight will tell her, you've got to come clean. You've got to admit that you perjured yourself, that you felt pressured to do so. Here's why. And you were afraid of retaliation, etc. If you do come forward and admit your wrongdoing, there will be an investigation of that. And you have job protections, because if you do come clean and you do tell the world, including her employer, the City of Boston Police Department, that she is standing firm that there was a meeting, they cannot fire her. There are retaliation and whistleblower laws that are in place in every state, and I'm sure up in the Commonwealth as well. So I would 100% advise you, Ms. Dever, if you're home sitting back on your couch, eating bonbons and wearing slippers and debating what to do with your life, and knowing that you've thrown your police career down the drain, call your attorneys who you seem to have harangued during your testimony and talk to them and come forward and throw every single law enforcement officer who is a piece of you-know-what under the bus and blow it all down.
You've got to tell me that an officer that was on the Boston police officer that died during one of the most high-profile murder cases in years in the state of Massachusetts, that you don't know anything about it, and that you don't know that one of your officers would be a key witness testifying in that case. I find that absolutely hard to believe coming out of Cox's mouth.
Right. And one
I
of the
find that
officers
hard to believe.
was one of his own, you know.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no way. And if he is that stupid, if Cox is that stupid, because Cox, you're coming off that stupid to me. If you are that stupid, you should not be in control of the Boston Police Department. You should be out. You should not be the commissioner. You're unfit to serve, sir. You should be out.
Yeah.
I know a lot of chiefs of police. I know a lot of superintendents, and all of them, every man and woman that leads an agency refers to their people as my people. They don't distance themselves under any circumstance. Even if they're in the wrong, they still take ownership of the employees that work for that department.
Right. He could have said something just in line with what Todd's saying. He could have said something like, Kelly Dever is one of our own. I'm not going to be answering any questions about her or her testimony. I'm not answering anything. Even if it went beyond no comment, he could have said that. He didn't have to distance himself, which I'm so happy that Todd is like my friend now, because I get to talk to him and learn his insights beyond just sitting in the chats. Todd is right. This distancing, this is what you saw when Jen McCabe called 911 that night. There's a guy outside in the snow. You know, it's not John O'Keefe, my friend, Officer John O'Keefe has been hit. This type of distancing, I'm sure many behavioral analysis and all of the people who can really underlie and investigate just diction and lexicon that people use, they will tell you that distancing is a sign of deception. So, I mean, we're not done talking about this. There's going to be more developments.
100%, Nan.
Yeah.
100%.
Do you think maybe the distancing is, well, I don't know. The feds might be still watching.
Well, put it this way, as I've always thought that they never went away, but I heard some FBI agents, current and former, say in the last week or so, it doesn't take much, even if they did close their investigation, which they didn't, just reopen it.
Yeah.
Just reopen it. Like you can close it in the morning and reopen it by the afternoon. I've had that happen. So we'll see. But yeah, the feds, if you weren't listening, you sure are now.
Yeah. Before I go back and finish up his comment, because I want to hear, he goes, I wasn't even there. I was in Michigan. We got to play that. I just want to welcome everybody in. If you're just coming into the chat, my guest this evening is attorney Nan Gallagher, and we have a 24-year veteran of the Mass State Police, retired Mass State Police Trooper Todd McGee, joining here. Let's go back to, and please make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already, and turn those bell notifications on so you know every time I go live. Let's go back and finish up his comment, and then we'll move on to Karen Reed inking a book deal, and then we're going to talk about Proctor to end up to wrap up the show. Let me just pull up. I love this. I was in Michigan. I love this. Here we go.
I never have said those words together. And so the fact is, it's much to do about nothing. We have employees here that we have to develop and encourage and do things. And I do that for tons of our employees.
Do you feel that you were inappropriately drawn into this as some sort of boogeyman?
That case is over. And, we've got a lot of other stuff to talk about. I have nothing to do with Karen. I'm in the state of Michigan.
Brian, another indicator. Did you see the heavy swallow right before the end of the interview? Under stress, the vocal cords restrict.
Yeah.
You can't control it. It's a physiological sign. It's a physiological leak to stress.
And I'm going to tell you, I bet you if he opened his coat up, he had sweat stains from probably here all the way down. All the way down, he was sweating, panicking. Just
So
put him like a bucket of water.
The Michigan comment concerned me. Not only as distancing, but also I had seen somewhere in a chat that he had that Cox previously served as a chief of police in Ann Arbor, Michigan, until I think it was like July of 2022. Now we know that John O'Keefe was killed not by Karen Reed in January of 2022. So I have a feeling, and I don't think I'm alone, that what Cox is trying to do now is say, I was in Michigan, which is where I was serving as chief of police in Ann Arbor, Michigan, during the relevant time period of the killing or death, whatever you want to call it. And
Killing.
then, yeah, it was a killing. I'm sorry. I'm
Yep.
trying to be euphemistic.
Yeah,
but
of course.
anyway, I was in Ann Arbor, Michigan in January of 2022 until I was installed. I believe it was roughly July of 2022 when he began serving as the commissioner of the Boston PD. What he doesn't realize is I believe, and your chat could correct me if I'm wrong, that Dever wasn't questioned until after that. Maybe she was questioned after that, if questioned by law enforcement or FBI agents.
Yeah,
Either
so
way, it doesn't matter
ahead.
because she was in a meeting with him subsequent to when he came to Boston and when he was serving. So I mean, he's making a distinction that he shouldn't be making. It's making him look less credible.
So
It's
just
misplaced.
go ahead, Todd.
Yeah, that to Nan's point, that insertion of his time at Michigan is misplaced.
Yes. You see,
Yeah.
he says it much more efficiently than I do.
Timeline was this, Nan. August 2023, Dever told FBI that she saw Higgins and Berkowitz with Reed's SUV. January through March 2025, Reed's murder trial progresses. We have June 2nd, she testifies and recants. And then July 10th through the 13th, 2025, Cox addresses the media. And then we had the Brady List request. She testified June 2nd, 2025. She recanted earlier FBI claims about seeing Higgins and Berkowitz. Defense is now pushing for her to be placed on the Brady List. Todd, can you tell us and explain to everybody just so they understand what a Brady List is?
Yeah, so the Brady List holds accountable all government officials, to include elected officials in any type of misconduct in the course of their duties. So from mayors, city council members, police officers. In the case of a police officer, the credibility issue comes into play when they testify or they're a witness or investigator for a potential investigation, and now they're appearing before the court, and their credibility is now in question based on their being previously compromised.
It's very, very important because it puts defense attorneys and prosecutors, frankly, on notice that somebody in law enforcement or an elected official's testimony could be significantly compromised. That can be used for exculpatory purposes, and that can also be used for impeachment purposes in order to allow for a very strong and robust cross-examination of that particular witness. And in this case, there is no more valid reason than what we've just gone through thus far to place Dever on the Brady List. And I just wanted to point out one little additional point on this, which is look at what we got here. You've got Karen Reed's defense team still working, doing important services for her post verdict. So Alan doesn't have to do that. Alan could just take his ball and go home. But here he is saying, no, we want her on the Brady List. That's tremendous that he's done that. He could simply walk away. He's actually doing a service for all of you who reside in that area, in that jurisdiction, or anyone else. If, for example, if Kelly Dever decides to move to an additional jurisdiction, let's get everyone forewarned about her. And while we're at it, let's throw Commissioner Cox on it.
He is pissed.
Yeah.
He is pissed. And I've heard that firsthand from his lips to my ears. I've heard it. He is pissed. And I remember saying that we still have a lot of work to do when I've been around him. And I love the fact that they are putting the hammer down. Because listen, they put the hammer down on Karen Reed for almost 4 years.
Yep.
They stripped her of her life, her reputation, of everything that she ever stood for. She needs to rebuild all that back again. And even when people get acquitted because they've been wrapped up in such a high profile murder case, this doesn't go away for them. It continues on and on. She's going to have to answer questions now for the rest of her life because of the way that society is. We see it with all the trolls, all the trolls online that continue to attack her. And this is going to be a great segue because we're going to get into her book deal and what the McAlberts have just recently said about all of the harassment that they're receiving. But all I see is people online continuing to harass Karen Reed, say that she is still guilty. She is the one that killed John O'Keefe. Do we just not believe in our legal system, or is it, wait, when it doesn't work in your favor, it doesn't work in your favor? And I even said this too. Whatever would have happened to Karen, let's just take it to the other extreme, okay? She gets convicted, she goes away, whatever it may be. I can guarantee you, every single person in this chat, every single person in our community, every single person, creator, boots on the ground, whatever it may be, would still be here. We would take, and I hate to say this, take our lump. We would be very pissed off, but you know what? We would continue to fight. We would continue to fight to find a way to help in any single way that we can do and stand behind her legal team and her appellate team until this was final and over. Not harass, not go after the blue shirts or whatever you want to say. We wouldn't be doing that. We would pull up our bootstraps and say, okay, we still have a lot of work to do here.
100%
Brian,
agree.
if I may, I don't normally do this, but Brady Starr in the chat's asking if Cox knew that Devers was being deposed by the FBI. 100% absolutely. The last thing any police officer wants to get caught up in is not notifying their leadership that they're involved in an investigation. That's just, which then adds another layer above and beyond what Alan Jackson was asking during testimony. So she probably met more than once with Cox around this testimony.
And here we go here. Cox started his seat as commissioner on August 15, 2022. And like Nan said, he was the chief of police in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So that goes back to, let me look at my timeline again. She, tells the FBI in August of 23, so about a year later, that the FBI saw Higgins and Berkowitz in the SUV. He knew of this trial. He knew it was going on. He absolutely knew it was going on. So to sit there and play, I didn't know. Again, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it at all.
I don't, when we're looking at this saying, how do they keep on lying this way? Every single level of law enforcement, whether it's a simple rookie cop to the mid-levels, to the sergeants and the lieutenants, now the commissioner, and all different departments, is the only, and no offense, Todd, because you are excluded from this list, but is the only honorable law enforcement officer in this whole storyline Sergeant Nicholas Barrows? Please tell me.
Yeah.
It can't just be one. There has to have been someone else.
It looks that way.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel so badly. This is why I can't put this down. I need to however I can help, whether it's just keep talking about it or give some insight, because the squeaky wheel gets the grease on this.
Yeah. I preemptively made my post like a couple of weeks ago. I remember saying like, our work is done here. We need to move on. And, there's going to be other things that we get involved in and talk about. Absolutely. We're going to do that. But man, this is just like, and I hate to use the expression, but it's been the gift that just keeps on giving. There's so many other things to talk about. And I think we're going to be here at least another year. Talking about this stuff until it ends, until we get justice for John.